sewing friends. Today I am back with a little kind of roundup of what I have been sewing and crafting lately. So I haven't done like a makes video in a while, so I have a couple of new makes plus some refashions and then some crafty projects that I've been working on either like for or with my kiddo. So I'll put those ones at the end and I'll do like some chapters and everything. But yeah, I'm excited to share some makes. So I am cheating just a little bit by including this skirt in here because it's not quite finished. It's so close. I could, if I wanted to, I could like wear this right now, but I have just a few more details that I want to add before calling it officially finished. So this is my hack of the Forget Me Not Natalie skirt. So the things that I did to it to kind of make it my own were add some width to the back and then stick some elastic in the back waistband. I also created a lining, which I'm so excited to show you the inside of this skirt because I have never, that's not true. I have very rarely properly lined something and had it turn out nice. um, in the beginning of my sewing career, like when I took my first sewing class, I had to make a lined dress and I absolutely hated it. It was the worst. And I pretty much avoid linings generally these days. If I can get away with like a bias binding or a facing, I usually go for that. But I knew since this was like a wool that I would want something. I knew it was going to like really stick to tights, and that is how I wanted to wear this. I definitely didn't want it. It's kind of a scratchier wool. I definitely didn't want it like up against my skin. I knew it would stick to my tights. So I went full on and did a really nice, neat lining, and I am so pleased with how it turned out. So this is it like attached to the placket on the inside. I've done a separate hem and then a bias binding hem on the skirt. So between choosing to like add width for the elastic and add in the lining, it was like a lot to think about as I was sewing it, and it changed the construction of the skirt quite a bit. So instead of like constructing the skirt and then adding the waistband on last, I ended up just piecing the skirt together and the lining, and then I made the waistband and actually sandwiched it in between, almost like not a full burrito method, but yeah, so everything on the inside is super neatly enclosed here, and I'm really pleased that on both sides, like there's no visible stitching except for my understitching here at the top of the waistband. And this will also, the elastic will also get understitched, no, not understitched, top stitched, just so it makes the elastic kind of form better to the body, which I definitely need because I did add too much, I think, to the back of the skirt here. So the Natalie skirt is a paneled or like gored skirt. And for the A-line version, it basically, like all the pieces are relatively shaped like this. So for an A-line skirt, you would normally, if it was one piece, you would like bring that in with darts. But since this doesn't have any darts and it has those panels, you get the shaping by like sewing those curves together. So I basically, on the back here, I just eliminated those curves and I added a little bit to the center back seam. And because they are panels, it seems like you're adding just a little bit to each piece, but when you put it all together, I think I ended up probably adding close to like 8 centimeters, and that was definitely more than what I wanted, because I wasn't looking for the elastic to help me get it on and off, but rather to just like cinch in at my waist while I was standing and then grow with me as my body like expands when I'm sitting down. So that was what I wanted for that. And I went a little bit too far, I think. So good note for next time. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how this has turned out, is turning out, because it's not quite done. Basically, yeah, I need to top stitch this elastic and I want to add some belt loops, which are in the pattern. And I absolutely love wearing a little skinny belt with my Natalie skirts. I think it really just like takes it to the next level there. So I need to do that. I just ran out of thread is my thing. Otherwise I would have had it done. And then my buttons, these last two buttons didn't get placed quite right, so it's a little bit wrinkly here when my buttons are sewn up, so I just need to like move those down a little bit. But otherwise it is done, and I am really, really excited to get to wearing this. This is, I don't remember if I said already, it was a wool remnant that I thrifted. So it's been in my stash for ages, and I'm really excited that I finally sewed it up into something. I've loved my Natalie skirts. It's just such a good like shape and style for me, but none of them are fitting me right now. They are all a bit too big, and rather than taking them in, I decided to just make a new one because my body fluctuates so much. I don't really want to spend the time altering something if I will like spring back to that size, you know? So I made a new one, and I'm very excited to wear it with this top. I've been bummed because I don't have any solid skirts. I have one black skirt, and I didn't really like black and mustard, but I've been wanting to wear this top, and this is the also Forget Me Not Helmi blouse. And yeah, I think the green and the gold will be so pretty together. So very excited about this one. I think it's gonna go with tons of stuff in my wardrobe, and I'm really excited to have like a wool winter skirt. Okay, the next makes, I won't have as much to talk about, so sorry, that one was really long. The next one I have, I actually talked about in one of my last videos. I was wearing it. This is the True Bias Brynn cardigan. I've made the dress version, though my dress version is not a midi length because I didn't order enough fabric. I thought that I could get away with less than what the pattern requirements asked for, and I was wrong. The pattern, yeah, the requirements in the pattern were accurate. So my dress is a bit shorter, but that's okay. This was one that I made as a tester. So I know since getting our tester feedback, they have made some changes, so I can't quite tell you how the fit has turned out. I am gonna make another one with the changes reflected really soon, so hopefully I can report on that too. The only other like change that I made was I decided to just sew this button placket shut. I made it as according to the directions with like stretching in the band, and then I just sewed the buttons on, and I used a Ceraflex thread, like an elasticated thread, to stitch this down so that like if it pulls lengthwise over my body, it's not gonna snap open. I love that because I didn't have to worry about any gaping. I have had wardrobe malfunctions before, especially with like a more fitted knit garment, so I highly recommend just sewing them shut. I think for the cardigan, if I was wanting it to be like an actual functional cardigan, that would be something else if I had planned to wear it open, but I knew for the dress version, I would just wear it closed all the time. So that is this one. It's super warm and cozy. I was not very sure about this style on me. It is very fitted throughout the body, but I found myself like reaching for it all the time. It's just so cozy, and like I love the color, and the buttons are so cute. I put in this Blackbird Fabrics label. I liked the pink and the red here. So yeah, it's very, very cute and super functional, and I love it. So the next two that I have were both things from my like refashion pile slash like work in progress pile that I finally got out of it. So a couple years ago, I went on some batch sewing, and I batch cut and sewed a whole bunch of Seamwork Ace tops without like fitting them. I felt very, very silly about it. Um, yeah, first off, my mistake was like I didn't read the hip measurement, and so it's a very, like you can see from the line drawing, it's meant to like really hug those curves, but like I don't have a lot of curve in the hip, which is why like I often don't even look at the hip measurement for tops and dresses. I'm like, okay, I'm usually worried about the bust and maybe a little bit about the waist, and then I just like disregard the hips for some reason. Lesson learned, because I looked very silly. It looked like a peplum, like it was just sticking like straight out. It was very silly. So that's fully on me. Like I could have fixed that. I could have reshaped those side seams. I could have sized down or like graded down in the hips, but I didn't do that. And then the other thing I learned from the 3 Ace tops that I made is that I don't really like a drop shoulder on a t-shirt. So I love the funnel neckline of the Ace, but that drop shoulder just made me feel, the way it like fit and felt on me made me feel a little bit frumpy. And then like the hip situation was definitely not helping. So I managed to hold on to them and make some changes. So the first one, I had a little bit of extra fabric. So I'm pretty sure the sleeve was like the original body of this cream Ace top. And then the body of this t-shirt now is like the little remnant that I had left over. So I managed to get, this is a Helen's Closet Dawson tee. I was just talking about like how I don't want boring long sleeve t-shirts, and here we have like the most neutral boring t-shirt, but like at least it's not falling apart like most of my other ones are. It's very, very cozy and comfortable. It's also like a cropped length, which is very cute. It's still long enough that I can tuck it in if I need to, but with jeans it just sits a little bit higher, and I think it's pretty cute for like a little cream t-shirt. It has like some pink, it's like a marled jersey, and I think it looks really, really good on me. So I am excited to actually be able to wear this again. And yeah, I think it was a good use of that Ace tee that I was never reaching for. And then this one, I think if I can find a picture, I will like pop it in. This one, I combined the Ace t-shirt with the Orlando bodysuit. So I basically just took that funnel neck from the Ace and put it on the Orlando bodysuit. But again, I didn't look at the hip measurements, and so it was like wearing a diaper. Like it was so big in the rear and in the hip that it was so silly. I would still wear it like under skirts, but I had to be really careful because sometimes you could see like see how bunchy it was. So finally I was like, if I want to wear this, like I just need to chop it off. And so I did that. I took off like the little underwear looking part, and I took in the side seams and just gave it a hem. That's all I did. The sleeves are still a bit tight. I don't know if I messed that up when I was like doing the pattern hack or if I like misread the seam allowance. I made this like 2 years ago, so I don't have a way of knowing, but I love this color. Like just like it's almost the exact same color as the Brynn cardigan or the Brynn dress that I made. But yeah, this will have the little slash neck, which is super cute. I actually wanted to wear this. Ow. I wanted to wear this for this video, but the slash neck or the funnel neck isn't great for like wearing a mic. So I'm just gonna have to like show it to you. But yeah, I'm really excited to have both of these like back in my wardrobe again, because like all of my long sleeve shirts were pretty much falling apart from last year. I was really hard on my clothes because I only had a couple of things that fit me, and yeah, they're worse for the wear. So at least I have a couple things now that I can like rotate into my wardrobe. The last couple of things that I sewed this month were for my kiddo. So last month was her birthday, and last month was also the month that she broke her elbow. So that was very dramatic, and we ended up having to spend the night in the hospital. It was like a whole big thing, but she's on the mend now. She just got out of her cast this week. But so the hospital recommended that we get this brand of a sling for her arm because she had to be like fully in a sling for, yeah, I think 4 weeks, a little more than that. And she was not super thrilled with like the prints and the options that there were for the slings. But again, it was her birthday also, and she collects little like iron on or sew on patches. So I raided her collection and I basically decked out her little arm sling with these fun like felt patches. I actually bought this. They came together in a set that I think I got at TJ Maxx, which was like so random, but really great. And then I also added like this sparkly heart label and some pins from her little pin collection. And it just made it like so much better for her. And everyone was super excited. It took me like an hour and it was definitely worth it. She also insisted that she put on this I love you sticker that she made using my label maker. So there's also that, but it just like is really fun and colorful and it made her really happy. So really nice to make that time for her like a little bit better. The other thing that I made for her was supposed to be a project that she was going to make, but again, like broken elbow. So I had given her this fabric for her birthday that we would sew the dress together, but then it ended up that like she tried, but like just couldn't really do it. So this is a cotton jersey that I got from the, oh, I don't remember the name of the market that we went to, but it's like one of those traveling markets around the Netherlands. And a friend and I went a few weeks ago, and I really loved this fabric. I have now washed it twice. I pre-washed it, and then after I made the dress, she wore it a couple times, and I washed it, and I'm quite disappointed, to be honest. It is a Hilco jersey, which Hilco is a pretty popular, pretty well-known, pretty expensive fabric brand. Now, because it was at the market, it was like I think from a couple years, like a couple like cycles ago. So it is like an older one and I didn't pay that much for it. But I know like, yeah, Hilco, what they sell now, their like regular cotton jerseys are like around 20 bucks a meter. And this has already like started fading. It was really curly and kind of annoying to work with. So I'm like not that impressed, and I definitely will not be like jumping on board any of the new releases from Hilco, at least not for their cotton jersey, because yeah, it has like just faded a whole bunch and was not the most fun cotton jersey to sew with. And like I sew with cotton jersey all the time, so I don't know. That was a thing that like I learned and a lesson to keep in mind. I added this little Sarah Hearts. It's one of the like Sweethearts label, so it's like a Valentine. It says handmade, and yeah, it's really cute. I don't think I said the pattern. It is the everyday dress from Peekaboo Patterns, and I made the size 7. The only thing I did different was this is the first time I made the gathered skirt, and what they wanted for the pattern piece was so much gathering. So this is 2 times the amount of the waistline here. It was like I cut the pattern and I was like, this is gonna be so thick and it's gonna just be like, I don't know, it felt like way too much gathering for the length of the skirt and for the kind of materials that the pattern called for. So I ended up reducing the width quite a bit, but again, this is like twice, and I think it is really good, and any more than that I don't think would work for this kind of, for like a jersey fabric, especially in a skirt this long. So yeah, I made the size 7, and this comes down, it is like a midi length dress on her. She just turned 7. So I think it is pretty perfect. It'll definitely last her like through the winter. And yeah, she didn't have the cast off when I made this, and I felt very, very clever. I made it up, but I just left the underarm seam of the arm part undone. So it was like almost like a cape, because she has not been able to wear any long sleeve t-shirts while her cast was on. So it just kind of made it like a little cape so she could still be warm and wear the like comfy long sleeve on the other side. So I felt like pretty brilliant about that. My other plan was to make it and just like leave one sleeve off completely and add it on later. But the cape situation worked really well, and then it was super easy to just like shoop, close that up when the cast came off. So yeah, that is this one. I think it's very, very cute. It looks super good on her. But again, I'm just a bit miffed about the quality of the fabric. The last thing that I have been working on, I have one complete and one in progress. So these are little mini cross stitch kits, and this rainbow one, actually, again, I bought for my kiddo for her birthday as a project for her to do, but then like she couldn't hold things, so she asked that I do it for her, and I was like, I will do that for you. So I haven't 100% finished. I need to trim this and then like actually mount it. But yeah, this is my first little cross stitch project and it was really fun. It is definitely not perfect. My rainbow is quite wonky. I will say cross stitching, like the motions are very easy to just like, you do the diagonal stitch on the front and then a straight stitch on the back and you just build them out that way. That part is very easy, but the like looking at the pattern and looking at the thing I'm working on, there's like a big disconnect in my brain and always has been, like from the time that I was a kid, whenever like we had to copy sentences down, like the teacher would write on the board and we'd have to write it on the paper. Struggle. So in that sense, I'm not quite sure that this is a craft for me. Um, but I did have a lot of fun with it and I really liked that it kind of gave me something to do while I like watching TV. I like watching movies, but I can't really sit still very well. So this kind of gave me something to work on. And yeah, my partner is very happy that I will now watch things with him because I have a little something to do. So that is that one. And then this is my work in progress. This is like a little mini sunflower. I got both of these from a little shop called It's a Present in Amsterdam. And this one was not a brand that I had heard of before. If I find it, I will like pop it below. This one is a Kikkerland, which they do like all kinds of little household things, all usually kind of with like a little joke sometimes. And they have a whole line of these like little baby cross stitch ones. And I will say, like, time for cost value, like very high, because I have spent so many hours working on these and I think this little kit was like $7.50, like very, very reasonable. So yeah, in terms of cost, like very, very effective. But yeah, it's just been really nice. Again, kind of a struggle in the visual part, but I had expected, because I have a lot of hypermobility in my hand and my wrist that I've like done a lot of physical therapy for. Repetitive motions can be really hard on me. So I have basically always thought that any kind of hand sewing, any kind of hand embroidery was going to be off the table for me. But I've actually found that like if I can, as long as I don't go more than like 2 hours at a time, it doesn't really bother my wrist. So that makes me really excited. I think that is my biggest like takeaway from these two little projects, is that maybe I don't need to just fully outlaw hand sewing, but that if I like take my time and go a bit slow, that is something that I could maybe do a bit more. So I'm excited to see like where that goes. So in addition to doing the actual making of these things, I've also been planning my winter sewing. So yeah, my last video was about like the tops that I'm planning to make, but then I've also been jumping into Seamwork's Design Your Wardrobe, which Design Your Wardrobe is like a course that is, you can do at your own pace like all the time, but going into the season, so 4 times a year, there is like a cohort version. So there's like discussion boards and like sharing inspiration and like context and what you're designing for. It's really, really fun. So I really enjoyed taking part in that over the last couple of weeks, and yeah, thinking about what I'm going to be sewing for winter. So that video will hopefully be like soon, next week, hopefully. So yeah, I'm really excited about my sewing plans and also like what I have learned through that planning process. I always learn something about myself, and yeah, it was really good this time around. So that'll be next time. This is everything that I've been making. Yeah, once I finish this Natalie skirt, I will get started on my winter stuff, so I'm very excited. I'd also love to know what you guys are making. So if you want to, yeah, drop me a comment below about what you're up to, or show me like a DM on Instagram. I love that too, because yeah, it's always really fun and inspiring to see what other people are up to. I love my real life sewing friends, absolutely, though they all live a bit far away, which is sad. But yeah, so that's why like online connections are so important to me, and I really love yeah, seeing what you guys are up to. So yeah, drop me a little hello below, and I guess that like leads me into my like please like and subscribe spiel. So enter that here. That's all for me today. This has already been like a waffly video, so I am going to go now. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Happy making. Bye!